Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. If participants will take their seats, we will begin this public hearing. This is the Committee on Public Safety to review the Kensington Marshall Plan. Mr. Glass, will you read the title of the resolution?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Resolution number 230120, authorizing the City Council Committee on Public Safety to hold public hearings to examine the open-air drug market and other barriers to clean, safe, and crime-free streets in Kensington, and Resolution number 230121, calling for the establishment of a Marshall Stabilization and Recovery Plan to combat the issues facing Kensington and the surrounding areas in Philadelphia.
Thank you. I know for the record we have a quorum represented by Member Lozada, Member Vaughn, Member Harity, Member Driscoll, and Member Johnson. Before we get started in hearing testimony, I'd like to recognize the author of this resolution, Member Lozada.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good evening. Thank you all for joining us tonight. I'd like to begin first by thanking Principal Erica Green and the entire Conwell family for opening the doors to your school for us to come together this evening to have this incredibly important conversation. For decades, the Kensington community has faced an ongoing health crisis along with the loss of its neighborhood identity. Every single day, residents of Kensington face the daily quality of life issues as hundreds of homeless individuals have occupied their neighborhood in what has become a public health emergency due to the open-air consumption of opioids, leading to thousands of deaths in this very same community where we are here today, fueled by a toxic, illegal drug supply. This crisis is devastating, and it is one that has taken a devastating toll on those families who have loved ones who were lost battling addiction, along with residents of this community who want solutions. Since arriving on council in November of 2022, I have been working closely with several community-based organizations here in Kensington and the Committee of Public Safety and my colleagues to create a plan that would help us find solutions to this shared challenge, which we believe will not only save lives, but finally address and improve the quality of life in this community and across our city. There are billions of dollars in services being poured into this community every day, but as a community and as a district, we can't see them. This hearing is an opportunity to hear from those who provide services and to hear from our community directly on how on-the-ground services impact their everyday lives. It will also provide this committee with the ability to evaluate and determine what services overlap, who's receiving the services, how the data is collected, as well as how the services are measured, what is working and what is not. As a government, we will set priorities for the year ahead to disrupt and dismantle the trafficking of opioids, including illegal fentanyl and tranq, and expand access to public health strategies for everyone who needs them. We are here to listen. We don't have the answers, but we are here to work together with the residents to find concrete solutions. I'd like to thank Chairman Curtis Jones for allowing us to have this important discussion, and I look forward to today's testimony. Thank you.
Next, we will hear from Member Harity, who is a proud resident of Kensington.
Hello, everyone. How are you doing? As Councilman Jones said, I am a proud resident of Kensington. Just so we have everybody on the same page here, this is for us to get questions answered. This is for us to come to you and see how you believe your neighborhood needs to be changed and what effects this is having on you. And as a resident here, I can tell you, we're all fully aware of what's going on in this neighborhood. This is not a session to place blame. This is not to call anybody out. This here is to get to the bottom of what we believe we can change and what we believe has to change. For me, it's all about the kids in this neighborhood. I live here. I talk to these kids. They're good kids. They're not asking for anything extra. They're just asking for the same as other communities have. And that's to be able to go to school without seeing what they have to see on a daily basis walking through our neighborhoods. So I'm here to get to the bottom of this, to come up with some results that we can actually implement to make some significant changes here in our community. Drugs are just one thing in this community. We're losing everything that made us a community. We have no stores left. We have buses being canceled, and everybody here who has to ride the L, I feel for you, because that's a whole another thing in together. So please, just let's bear with each other, and this is so we can learn what you want, not what we want, not what the elected officials want, what you want for your community, because this is where we live. So thank you.
And now another resident of Kensington, Member Vaughn.
Good evening.
Are you connected?
Hello.
Here.
Hello. Can you all hear me on this?
Yes.
Oh, good evening, everyone. What a great show of the community. I am so excited to see so many people here to give us feedback on what's happening in our area.
What about this?
As you all know, 3 of us are in council now, live in the 7th Councilmanic District, and we are here to hear your issues, to hear the problems, so that we can begin to strategize and work on ways to make this a better place to live. Thank you all for being here. Please, the next time, tell your neighbors so that this room can be packed and we can begin the healing process that is necessary to deal with what's been happening in this community for so many years. We look forward to starting the process. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Vaughn. I'll now recognize Member Kenyatta Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm Councilman Kenyatta Johnson, representing the 2nd Councilmanic District here in support of this hearing, to most importantly, not only listen to you, but most importantly, work together with this council body to make sure that we make it a priority in addressing the issues that are impacting Kensington. What impacts the neighborhood of Kensington impacts all of us here in the city of Philadelphia, and it's about time that we all work collectively as a city and as a body to address the issues. And so I want to thank our chairman for hosting this hearing, but also Councilman Ketsi Lozada for her leadership in making sure this is a #1 priority that she's addressing in City Council. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Member Johnson. Member Driscoll.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Councilman Lozada, for introducing this resolution. This is a wonderful showing here. I see the leadership of the Philadelphia Police Department. My daily gratitude goes out to you for everything you do to make us safe and the challenges you have. Help is on the way. You know, this budget, we're going to get more police. Everybody on this stage, Harity and Vaughn were not there, but I'm sure they would have voted with us. Everyone on the stage voted for 300 more police officers. I know we're having trouble recruiting, but help is on the way there. District Attorney Krasner, thanks for being here. Commissioner Dealey and Representative Patrick Gallagher. I just want to let you know that I am new to City Council. I was a state representative for many years. I was sworn in June 10th of 2022. Every 10 years, districts change. Effective this year, I will be representing the area from the river along Allegheny Avenue to K&A, and I'll make a right on Allegheny Avenue and go all the way up to Northeast Philadelphia. So this is really important to me. I know my colleague, Councilman Harity, lives here, and I'm here to listen, I'm here to learn, and I'm here to support. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Member Driscoll. Before we hear from the first panel, Member Lozada, Member Harity, Member Vaughn insisted that this hearing be done here today, not downtown, not in City Hall, but right up close and personal to the Kensington people. All you have to do is ride around that avenue and it'll touch your heart. I wonder why every week these two are so emotionally high-pitched, but all you have to do is ride down that street and see the tragedy that all of the people of Kensington have to deal with every single day. And the reason we are here is not just to show support for our colleagues, but to show support for you. And we are not going to allow this to continue, not under our watch, and we will task the next mayor to make sure that Kensington has a Marshall Plan. And we are going to fight, and we're going to stand with you guys and be a part of your struggle, because we're only 6 degrees of separation. And I'm going to close on this. You know, it's academic until it touches you. It's somebody else's problem until it touches you. And one of my staffers lost a kid to addiction down here. And we were up and down that avenue looking for her teenage daughter. And it will change your life, change your perspective to see how it impacts a mother, impacts a father. The child's mother and father couldn't agree on much, but they agreed they had to go find her. And to deal with that reality every day is something that we have to change. And that's why we're here. And this is not a one-time hitter quitter. We're going to come back and we're going to move this plan until Kensington is safe. And until Kensington is safe, none of our districts are safe. And that's our commitment to you. Mr. Glass, can you please read the first panel to testify? Oh, I'm sorry. She's from West Philly, but she's here too. Jamie Goudier, who has been passionate about Kensington throughout her stay here and continues, and she's here today as well. She borders my district, and we have a secret that addiction spills out to our districts too. And if we don't address it here, we will feel it everywhere. So would you like to speak? Or?
I just wanted to say good evening to everyone. Councilmember Jamie Gaudier. I represent the 3rd District, which is West and Southwest Philly. I'm grateful to be here tonight to listen to how this issue is impacting the community. And thank you for taking time out of your evenings to be here with us.
And with that, thank you, member. Mr. Glass, who do we have?
Mr. Chairman, before that, may I recognize members from the administration and other organizations who are here for the listening session, for the record?
Say it again.
Before we begin, may I recognize members of the administration and departments who are here for the listening session, for the record?
Would you please?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Associate Superintendent Evelyn Nunez and Associate Superintendent Tomas Hanna of the School District of Philadelphia, Judge Patrick Dugan, President Judge of the Municipal Court, 1st Judicial District of Pennsylvania, Commissioner Cheryl Bettigold, Department of Public Health, Commissioner Carlton Williams, Department of Streets, David Holloman, Chief of Staff, Office of Homeless Services, Keisha Hudson, Chief Defender of the Defender Association of Philadelphia, Wendy Green Harvey, in representation from the Southeastern Pennsylvania Transportation Authority, Lisa Deely, Chairwoman of the Philadelphia City Commissioners, Larry Krasner, District Attorney of Philadelphia, Mary Hortzman, Deputy Managing Director for Health and Human Services, Noelle Foysen, Director of the Opioid Response Unit, Daniel Outlaw, Commissioner of the Philadelphia Police Department, Tom Conway, Director of CLIP, and Ralph DiPietro, Commissioner of the Department of Licensing and Inspections.
Thank you. Well represented by the administration. I note for the record that Councilman Squilla is here. Would you like to be recognized, sir?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Is that on?
Yep.
I really appreciate having the hearing here in the community today. Thank you to Councilmember Lozada and everybody for bringing it to the community. It's so important to be here where the people are dealing day in and day out with the challenges that they are facing. It's important for us as elected officials to come to the community and see and not just hear what those concerns are. And I really appreciate the opportunity to listen today, to hopefully work on solutions and find ways that we could address the main concerns of the community and make sure their voice is heard, and then we carry that voice on through to the administration. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Squilla. Mr. Glass.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Our first panel to testify will be Principal Erica Green of Conwell Middle School, Principal Diana Garcia of Willard Elementary School, Jamila Hannibal, a parent of a student at Willard Elementary School and a student from Willard Elementary School.
Welcome. Please come forth and state your name for the record, and please begin your testimony.
Step forward to the two desks in front of a microphone, and our first speaker will be Principal Erica Green.
Welcome.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening to Council Member Lozada of the 17th District, Council Member and Chairman, Majority Leader of the 4th, Curtis Jones, Jr., all other members of the panel and council members this evening, community members, parents of Conwell Middle Magnet School, Willard School, Elkin, Gloria Caceres, Mastbaum, my fellow colleagues in the School District of Philadelphia, my neighbors and friends in our community, our school district officials, along with District Attorney Krasner, the Philadelphia Police 24th District, as well as our Commissioner Outlaw. On behalf of Russell H. Conwell Middle Magnet School, I would like to welcome all of you to the Public Safety Committee hearing and share a brief history about our school and its legacy. Conwell was the first middle school in the city, named after founder of Temple University, who believed that we did not have to look far. Your diamonds are not in a far distance in the mountains. They are in your own backyard. I agree. Our students are gems with so much potential, despite the Kensington neighborhood where the school is located in an open-air drug market. The students here are bright, intelligent, compassionate, and it's fostered by a loving, committed team of educators. Conwell Middle Magnet School has been synonymous with producing excellent, stellar students. A few notable alumni: Trang Do, CBS News correspondent; Zaire Franklin, linebacker for the Indianapolis Colts; Derek Green, who was recently running for mayor, former city council member; Dr. Robin Cooper, CASA president. They're just a few of the leaders in Philly and beyond, and they continue to show their support to our young people with their time, their talent, and their resources. Our community partners have been invaluable with the ongoing support over the years with Councilwoman Maria Quiones Sanchez, Captain, now Detective Rosario of the 24th, currently Captain Billick of the 24th, Town Watch, TWIS Integrated Services, After School All-Stars, the Pennsylvania Ballet Organizations, and more recently, I-Day. However, I would be remiss if I did not highlight the serious public health and safety concerns of our neighborhood. Since 2011, I have observed the neighborhood decline as a result of the crime, the drugs that have infiltrated the immediate area surrounding the school. There have been alarming increases of people suffering with addiction, lingering in the faculty parking lot across the street from the school, setting up encampments, loitering on the front steps of the school, setting up residence underneath the schoolyard steps, urinating, defecating, eating, drinking, sleeping, shooting up, participating in lewd acts in public, setting things on fire, leaving drug paraphernalia, blood, and yes, overdosing on the school property, the front steps, and the perimeter. There are individuals who sell illegal drugs. They have moved closer to the school at Jasper and Clementine Streets. There was a deadly shooting in early October, less than 2 blocks away from our school on Wishart Street. The school was placed on lockdown. There was a second occurrence since that one at the start of the school year, and that was a shooting on or around September 28th. This is an extreme safety and public health issue for the school, our school team, our students, and our Conwell community. Last spring, a student ran to school as a gunfight erupted. The summer of 2021, I was threatened by an unknown male with a knife in front of the school. Conwell, which was thriving with over 800 students, has now decreased to 180 students. We occupied 2 buildings, the annex, which is 2.5 blocks away. Now we're all housed in 1 building. This is a direct correlation to the drugs and the violence in our community. Often the school office receives calls from concerned parents that are rescinding their applications or requesting a transfer because of the recent events of crime in our neighborhood that has caused the parent or the student distress, to become nervous or scared. Often families just don't want to be subjected to witnessing and traveling through prostitution, drug use, FBI raids, or gunfire. Thus, they opt for other schools just on those bases. Our staff are resilient and patient, and we have endured the harsh realities of the neighborhood as well. The Kensington community is more than an open-air drug market. There are law-abiding citizens here, children, young people who attend school, who worship at church. They are business owners, they are families, and they have called Kensington home for generations. There is a fear, there is danger and trauma as a result of everything that I have previously shared. Parents, students, neighbors, business owners are coexisting in an environment with people who have taken over and seized their community and their sidewalks. We are often left to walk in the street to get from one destination to the next. The streets are strewn with trash, mounds of debris, luggage, mattresses, human feces, and drug paraphernalia. There is nowhere else that this would be acceptable in the city of Philadelphia, and it should not be acceptable here. The lawlessness, violence, and crime has to stop, and there has to be accountability. This may not be the home of folks struggling with addiction or selling drugs. However, it is our home, the home of many. And again, I say that Kensington is more, so much more, than an open-air drug market. Just last week, I read an article where an alleged criminal provided an alibi stating that he could not have committed the crime in another part of the city because he was in Kensington selling drugs. Wow. Our school community has found over the last 2 months rifles, weapons, shell casings that have been left on the rear corner of the schoolyard. Neighbors are living in fear, yet they continue to have pride in their community. I implore you to continue to work with established partnerships to make the change in our Kensington community. Our young people are valuable. They deserve the best. They are to be protected, and they have the inherent right to maintain their innocence and optimism for the future. In the words of a woman I admire, Dr. Constance Clayton, we have to do what is right, just, and fair for the kids. It is imperative that we restore calm and normalcy to this neighborhood. Please consider this a formal invitation to visit our school at any time. This will provide you with the sense of challenges we face, but more so, an opportunity to meet the talented, resilient, and committed community and see the vibrant students. I look forward to working with all of you. Together, I know we can build equity and problem solve this very unique situation in our Kensington community. Thank you for listening this evening. I'm Erica Green, proud principal and community member in Kensington.
Thank you so much for your testimony, but more importantly, for your resilience in fighting for our children.
Yes.
And thank you for that. And I've heard a lot of testimony in my time, none more heartfelt than that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions from the committee, or are we going to move to the next? Good.
I mean, I don't have a question, it's just a statement.
Here you go.
Thank you. Thank you. Because what you do here is needed. You know, I don't know what these kids would be if they didn't have people like you sticking up for them. So please take my heartfelt thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Mr. Glass.
Mr. Chairman, our next witness is Diana Garcia, principal of Willard Elementary School.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Can we check her mic?
Red button come on, red light.
Is it on now? Yeah. Good afternoon to all of the council members, the Philadelphia law enforcement community here tonight, the school district of Philadelphia community that is present, concerned citizens, neighbors, and friends. My name is Diana Garcia. I am the proud principal of the Willard Elementary School, which are neighboring schools to my colleague Erica Conwell. We are across the street. And I'd like to talk basics with you today. It sounds pretty simple, right? Basics. However, that word basic is very important here. I'd like to start by saying that basic human rights. Is this better? Yeah. I'd like to say that I feel like basic human rights are being denied. I feel like on the one hand, like Councilman Jones said, when you walk or drive through this neighborhood, you know it's gonna be bad, right? So we have, on the one hand, what seems to be thousands of sick individuals. They're sick, they have addictions, right? And all that comes with it. We know what it is. We have fecal matter that our students have to walk through to get to school. The folks that are addicts are dipping, which is a new term for me. I didn't know what that meant, but dipping. We have individuals that are openly injecting themselves all times of day. It doesn't matter that school is in session. It doesn't matter that school is dismissing. So as a result of that, there's crime, there's shootings, right? There's drug sales, and more recently, there has been ammunition sales, right? That's a new phenomenon that's happening here. On the other side, we have, like my colleague, we have these amazing children that attend our schools. They are the bravest and the strongest people that I know. They are smart, they're intelligent, and they come to school against all odds. But when we talk about basic, there has to be some basic things that are in place that allow for them to come to school and really learn. We know that. Research tells us that. So again, that is why I feel like basic needs, basic rights are being denied. The implications for the here and now are real. We have these kids and they come to school against all odds, but this is affecting them, and we can't continue to act like it doesn't, right? Our students are, like Principal Green said, they're resilient, they're intelligent, but they're also human beings, right? That have to endure a lot just to get to our doors. So what happens is we as school leaders, we do whatever we can and we do anything and everything so that when they come through our doors, they feel safe, they feel loved, they feel acknowledged, they feel appreciated. However, we can't escape our reality, right? As an adult, like Principal Green, we have endured and we have seen things that are horrendous. The sad part is that this has been normalized for our students. It is normal for them to have to walk through fecal matter to get to school. It is normal for them to see folks that are strung out in the streets. Shooting, when they hear shooting, they don't even react anymore. That the implications of the here and now are real and they're everlasting. So I think that I'd like to say that we need this city to stand up for our kids. Our kids are the future, right? That's nothing new. We need champions for our students. And I think that you guys, the leadership of the city, is in the right position to make real change for Kensington. I love Councilman Jones when you said that this is it. We are going to do this, and we're not going to stand for this any longer. That gives me hope. That gives me hope. So we need to make this community a healthy community. I hope that this community is not being allowed to implode at the cost of thousands of lives. Let's go back to basics.
Thank you for your testimony.
Hello, my name is Jamila Hannibal. I wrote something from my point of view as a longtime resident here and a former student. I have attended and graduated from Willow Elementary in a mentally gifted program before it was changed into an apartment building that I do not qualify to live in. I have attended and graduated from Conwell Middle Magnet School when it was second enlisting to Masterman, and now it became a black gated eyesore. I have attended and graduated from Kensington High School of International Business, in which I helped break down into a small school as a student activist as a part of Youth United for Change, also while attending a college preparatory program by the name of Upward Bound at Temple University. I have attended Penn State Abington for psychology, and as I said in one of my last lectures, I realized it wasn't for me. So on one of the last Saturdays when I was able to get my hair braided at Fatu's African Braiding Shop, find something vintage at the Village Thrift Store, get my nails done at Janet Nail Salon, and have a nice sit-down breakfast at Kool-Aid Dinner, and oftentimes pick up my mom's medicine from Walgreens. I never realized it would be my last. Because business and entrepreneurship was always something that interests me, and having a business on Kensington Avenue that helped kids like me and families like mine became my ultimate dream. So I applied and received my commercial activities license in 2014. I got to work. I started to plan and prepare myself by attending and completing the Mount Airy CDC Small Businesses Expo, the Philadelphia iHub program alongside with community college, town hall meetings. I have verification and confirmation of a certification for a COVID-19 contract chasing and various first-time homebuyer workshops at Impact. As I was preparing to uplift my community and begin my journey to create generational wealth for my family, I had no idea that the Kensington Business Association would become what it has, an inordinate opportunity of promise of illegal drugs. blatant displays of low expectations of life. Basically, a dangerous wasteland occupied by half-dead addicts and non-operational storefronts. No more cultural summer camps like Kanuka. No more community block parties and public displays of celebration. And the cancellation of the summer lunch program. 3 main things that close an even smaller space for kids to go and show and expand their abilities and positive productivity. I can't stop asking questions like, after 14 years plus of deterioration, how do we rebuild the community that once was established with the basics of safety, neighborly love, and multicultural progression? How does regentrification continue to happen without rejuvenation of decrepit buildings and sick human statues? How does the $1 million black market drug business take over the once prominent Kensington Business Association and solidify location and actual storefronts that once served this community? Why is my childhood home not good enough to raise my children? How did it get to this point where, as an alumni of this great school and once great neighborhood, I stand here years later for the first time to discuss this topic and the obvious reality? YouTube creators and social media influencers create open invitation videos and call it awareness. But the positive, forward-moving influencers who can really create change and help, like Mr. Beast, would never step foot here. I have no solutions or plans, but what I do have is a body that won't stop moving and a mind that won't quit. Please help.
Thank you for your testimony. Mr. Glass?
Mr. Chairman, that is our last witness for this panel.
Chair recognizes Member Johnson.
Thank you, Principal Green and Principal Garcia, and thank you, Ms. Hannibal, for your testimony. But for Principal Green and Principal Garcia, can you give me an idea of the type of trauma support services that your school offers for our young people, as well as the type of support systems that you would like to see around trauma support for our young people in your individual schools?
Thank you for that question. I would say here at Conwell, we don't have any specific trauma support. So I do have the support of the 24th District, Marikey, the I-Day program. So those things are really aligned more with safety. So could we use support for young people that are dealing with trauma? Definitely. We have some materials, so we're trying to design a calming room for our young people, but of course that requires funding. And so with the calming room that we have in mind, it would be therapeutic supports, such as maybe having a plant or having some goldfish, like it seems pretty basic, some therapeutic spinners, or having medicine balls for the young people to sit on. And it would be a time where they could ebb and flow into the space as needed. But again, that all comes down to money. So with me having a very small school, that means that there's been a dearth of funding with the school district budget for us. So as a result, I need to just make sure that I have in place enough teachers and staff members. So do we need additional traumatic supports in place for our young people? We definitely do. We do have one school counselor here on site. We do work with the office, with the School District of Philadelphia, where they provide support if needed to come in, but we don't have anything in place right now. Now, I know Principal Garcia had a situation earlier in the year, so she might have some additional prevention and intervention supports because she has K-4 there.
So at the Willard School, we do every morning for half an hour, we have a community meeting, and that is a time of the day where if students are experiencing anything that they need to discuss, they discuss that in their classrooms with teachers. We also partnered with Comar to bring in services for a population of our students. We have started a partnership with Lakeside, and they provide the course is called Neurologic, and what we've decided to do at the Willard School is really learn and understand how trauma affects the brain. So we're doing brain-based training with our teachers so that we can discuss and work through trauma in a more intelligent manner. We're trying to change our language. We don't call students bad. We don't do that anymore. But we also have a counselor. We did add a second one for the upcoming school year. So we have the 5 to 9-year-olds. So that looks different every day. But what we do intentionally do is we give lots of love, we give lots of hugs, we try to make our students feel safe, and we try to understand them.
And I know we're going to go into the next panel. I just want to dig a little deeper because something that you mentioned is tugging at my heart when you talk about how our children has viewed the actions in this neighborhood as normal, right? Which is totally unacceptable because it's abnormal, right? For children, babies, to actually go to and from school in an environment, right, isn't really conducive to them becoming really productive members of society unless they have the type of support needed within that school environment, which they're going to spend the majority of their day at. And so I want to do a deeper dive from that aspect to see, have you seen changes in some of your students based upon what they witness inside the neighborhood going to and from school, and to be quite frank, also sometimes within the household, right? Can you give us a couple of examples in terms of?
So we have students that we are aware of the challenges that they face in their homes. So we put things in place for those students that we're aware of, right? We also offer a sensory room in our room. It's a small room that has things that are tactile that helps calm them down. We have a trampoline in that room that helps calm them down. But I think that the bigger danger is how do we deal with the students that we don't know have the traumatic experiences? We hear all the time, we lost a parent, we lost a sibling, there was a big raid. We hear all of that. And we try to do those students on an individual basis and tailor something for them. But again, the danger is in the not knowing, right? And something happened last night. If that child wants to share it, sometimes we find out that something happened because of their behavior. And taking the time to, sort of peel back the layers of that onion, then we get to the root of it.
Thank you very much.
Sure.
Thank you, Member Johnson. I think that question was extremely important in the purpose of these hearings, that we don't want to just be expert articulators of the problem. We want you to recommend solutions. And what Member Johnson talked about, we spend a lot of money on CUAs, community umbrella organizations. We spend a lot of money on the school district. If a school ever deserved that kind of service, it's you guys. And so it begs the question, why, if not, why not? And so as we make these notes, we're going to go back to these departments and say, what is a part of your Kensington plan? And so thank you for that, Member Johnson. Thank you.
Thank you.
Member Lazar? Oh, Member Vaughn or Member Gardier? Chair recognizes Member Gardier.
I wanted to follow up on Councilmember Johnson's line of questioning, but I wanted to ask about sort of overall services. You described the conditions that your kids have to walk through and deal with on a daily basis, whether it be trash or human waste and things that we just don't want for our young people or anyone. And so I wanted to ask you all, have you seen an increase in services from the district and from the city as you've been trying to weather all of these circumstances here in Kensington? And I also wanted to ask if you could list a top 2 for what you would want to see change in terms of support to your schools and to your business in the next 6 months. What would that top 2 be for all of you?
So to answer the first part of your question, I think that the district is recognizing and trying to put things in place to support our schools. So one of the things that I mentioned earlier is that we are getting a second counselor, which is super helpful. I think that, that starts to help and starts to help us identify students, and it starts to help us put a plan in place. One of the things that, I am very proud of at Willard is we try very hard to give as many experiences as we can, knowing that our kids can't go out and play. They can't roam the streets like what we used to do back in the day. So, partnerships are crucial. Partnerships, we at Willard partnered with the DEA for a dance program. We partnered with Philadelphia Ballet. We partnered with Taller Puertorriqueño, Kensington Soccer. We have a baseball club. We partner with so many people to bring experiences to our building. So to answer the second part of your question, we need areas where our kids can experience things in a safe way. We need our kids to be able to walk to school in a safe, have corridors that are clean and safe for them. I think that every building is a little different, right? So I can't answer that question globally, but for Willard, we work really hard to bring experiences to our kids so that they can have those experiences. But, we can control what's in our doors, right? We can't control what's beyond our doors, and what happens and those experiences beyond our doors are impactful to our kids. So having a safe, clean route to come to school without seeing people, I've just seen things as an adult that I've never thought I'd see, and our kids see that as normal. So that's really impactful.
Thank you so much for that, and I would love to hear from you as well. And I'm really asking this question and asking you to think not even just about the school district, but if you could have every city agency at your disposal and say, give me these two things to improve the experience of these kids over the next 6 months, what would that look like, right? It sounds like it would be maybe the streets department clearing, the corridors of schools so that at least kids can have an experience coming to and from school that's better than what exists, and partners to help kids have experiences. What would that be for you?
Yeah, so I agree that each school is really different. And so lots of times you don't hear things from us as principals because we are the CEOs of our buildings and we have teams and we're holding it down. So usually you only hear from me, or folks in the school district only hear from me when it's at that point where I'm like, okay, I need some additional help because I'm having those emotional kind of coming undone, if that makes sense. We have to be extremely strong, and you heard me say resilient for our young people. And so I come in early in the morning, a barrel of energy, because I know that's what they need. And so they often say, Ms. Green, you're way too loud. I know, and that's okay. I would say that I'm really happy to see the streets department is cleaning consistently on Tuesday. That makes a difference. That's really important for the neighbors that are residents here as well as for the business owners. However, the folks that are struggling with addiction, they can't be picked up at that time. So we do need other locations for them to get the help and the services that they need, but it does need to be blocks away from the neighborhood. And of course, we understand that they need to be close to the drug, which is like their medicine. So I completely understand that. I also understand that folks that sell illegal drugs, that's how they have to provide for their families as well. So I do have a clear understanding of the whole picture, but I'm always about preserving our young people. So those things are really kind of out of how I can see things. I mean, I have a plan that I think could work, but when you're talking about my school, so yes, like Principal Garcia, we have lots of partnerships, but what I guess I really need, which we don't have a lot of, is that additional funding or partnerships. So like we have a schoolyard where capital improvements, I've requested for it to be leveled. So we need serene places that are right here on the school property. Principal Garcia's school is a little more insulated, but I'm sure she needs some things there. My young people, through their STEAM classes here, are now designing a yard space, which consists of a green space and gardens and an opportunity to maybe grow vegetables. But then they also had a track team, so we have Philly girls on the run, but they also ran in the Penn relays. We came in 3rd place for girls, so we missed our 1st place, but that's all good. Another Philly middle school got it, so that's all well, because they're all our kids. So they were designing a place for track. We have a flag football team on Thursdays. So if anybody wants to come out from 2:30 to 4, we're here. And that built a lot of camaraderie. And I have parents that also join us for that. And so that's a really nice feeling, because parents often aren't able to see their kids play, or they don't really want them at the playground for whatever reason. So the school becomes everything that the young people need. And so it needs to be that safe haven for them, where they feel comfortable, where the parents feel comfortable. So yes, there's a lot of ideas that we have, but I give it back to the voice of my middle schoolers, like I said, who are developing this yard space. So partnerships like that would make a difference, because we do have some of the other partnerships like what Principal Garcia mentioned, but it always comes down to just a little extra funding.
Thank you so much. And then from our business owner, have you seen increased services? And if you could have a top 2 over the next 6 months, what would that look like?
I have seen the streets department cleaning up, but then there are separate entities that donate clothes and food to the people out there also. So as soon as they clean it up, all the trash from consumed during that day is back on the street. All those same people are back there, like she said. I honestly do not know of any solutions, because the change is still mind-boggling to me. So I'm just here as a vessel, and I'm able to do whatever I can, but that comes along with programs for me to do that and opportunities. So that's all I know.
Thank you. Chair recognizes Member Lozada.
Thank you, thank you, Chairman. I just want to say thank you to you, the principals, because you can choose to say, I no longer want to be here, but you choose to stay, and you choose to love our students, you choose to love our community, and so you're appreciated. Thank you so much. Thank you to you as a business owner, because you could pick anywhere else in the city to open up your business, but you chose Kensington and you've chosen to stay. If anybody is really listening to these folks, what they're asking for are basic things. They're very simple things. They're not things that are beyond our reach. And so let us start thinking about, as city departments, how do we provide these resources? How do we address these needs quickly and understand the impact that it'll make on the lives of our children and of these people who come into our community to provide them with a positive experience every day?
Thank you, Member. With that, are there any other questions for this panel? Seeing none, thank you so much for your testimony, and we appreciate your resilience. Mr. Glass, the next panel.
Mr. Chairman, our second panel is Lisette Rivera, Program Coordinator for Strategic Partnerships at Elkin Elementary School, and
Thank
students
you.
from Elkin Elementary School, if they are present.
Please approach the witness table. State your name for the record, and please begin your testimony.
Good evening. My name is Lisette Rivera, and I have lived on Bodina and Indiana Street for almost all my life. Not only do I reside in Kensington, but I also work in the neighborhood. I remember growing up and being able to walk to my elementary school on my own and play in the park with my friends without worrying about being attacked. I remember sitting on my steps till dark, talking to all my neighbors and eating sunflower seeds with no worries. I now don't know all my neighbors. I remember playing basketball in the park without worrying about being shot. My quality of life in my neighborhood has shifted for the worse. I come outside my house and the first thing I see is people using drugs in broad daylight in front of my kids. Back in the day, I remember these drug users hiding in places and being discreet, but not anymore. My kids witnessed drug users pooping on the ground and sleeping in parks, not knowing if they were dead or alive. Illegal dumping of infested mattresses and hazardous things. Our local stores barely have merchandise due to looting. My kids and I are unable to come outside without seeing a drug user high as a kite, and we always worry about where we step to make sure we are not poked with a used needle on the ground. It's so depressing to come outside and witness some type of crime scene, whether it's someone poking another person in the neck or someone being beaten up or robbed. My 3-year-old asks me to go to the park across the street from my house every day, and every day I have to come up with some type of excuse or a lie. I'm forced to buy electronics and attempt to entertain my kids indoors because there's no way I can let them go outside. It's so overwhelming to know that this is the neighborhood my kids are being exposed to. There's no room to walk on the sidewalk, forcing my kids to walk on the streets because these drug users take up most of the sidewalk to sleep on and do drugs. Not to mention the number of illegal cars that are not registered, parked on the sidewalk at an angle, blocking the sidewalk and making it unsafe. Abandoned vehicles are being used as shelter and parked for months with no avail to 311 or 911. Abandoned houses are being utilized for drug use and squatters. Traffic cones are being utilized to save parking space due to so many unregistered vehicles. The warm weather is the scariest. Everyone is outside enjoying the weather, and those are the days that I worry about the most. When I should be happy to enjoy the warm weather, instead I'm worried about an innocent person getting shot and killed, which happens on a daily basis. We have the most crime, and I ask myself why. Why is this happening in my community and nothing is being done? There's not a day that goes by that a gunshot is not heard in my house. It's not a day that goes by that we don't see our local library infested with drug users, prostitutes, and kingpins. Organizations come out to support their needs with clean needles and food, but there's no solution for our kids or the people who live with this eyesore. We can't come outside in the dark due to so many crimes happening. Families are suffering from depression and mental health issues. They are worried sick every time they get a call that their kid's school is on lockdown, forcing a stampede of angry, worried parents to pick up their children. Families are forced to go to shelters due to not having their lease renewed because rent will not be affordable. Families are suffering from all type of abuse. Neighbors are requesting Narcan to possibly save someone's life. It's ridiculous and something must be done. We need a clear action plan to address these dire community needs. We need your help. When is it enough, and how many deaths does it take?
Thank you so much for your testimony.
Thank you.
We'll wait until the panel concludes, and then we'll ask questions. State your name, please.
Mr. Chairman, I believe that is the only witness for this panel.
Yes, I had a parent and a student, but unfortunately they got sick and unable to attend.
All right. I think you represented them well.
Thank you.
I think you did. Mr. Glass, who's next?
Mr. Chairman, that is the final witness for this panel.
Okay. What I will say is, what makes you stay?
So like I said, this is my community, and I wanna change. I wanna fight for a change. I just don't wanna just leave like everyone else is doing. And people, I get letters in the mail, hey, we're buying your house off for this much. I don't want that. I wanna be here.
I heard that. All right. Mr. Harity, member?
Listen, I feel for you. Like I said, I live at G and Allegheny on Willard Street. What you're dealing with on a daily basis, I am also. It's not right. I have seniors that can't go to the corner store. It's not right. Not to mention, once they get to the corner store, there's nothing in it.
Exactly.
But we are here now, and I'm telling you, I'm not going to rest until this neighborhood. Listen, I moved here 16 years ago. My family, my wife and her mother have been here 50 years. 16 years ago, you could walk around this neighborhood. Matter of fact, 10 years ago, you could walk around this neighborhood. And you could go shopping, you can be in stores. And I'm not going to be satisfied or happy until we are able to do that again. So I thank you for your courage to get up here and speak, because I know it's not an easy thing to do, especially in our neighborhood. You never know what's going to happen, and it's the same thing. It's just crazy. I'm a city councilman, and I have to come home to this neighborhood every day, and every day on my way home, I pray to God, God, please let me get home, find a parking spot, and get into my house in safety.
Yes.
That's ridiculous. Every day I do that. I'm tired of it, and I'm with you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate your time.
Mr. Herrick, thank you. Mr. Glass?
Mr. Chairman, our third panel is Assistant Principal Julio Nunez from Casares Elementary, and 4 students from Casares Elementary as well are here to testify.
Please come up to the witness table. We're glad to have you. We're proud of your resilience. And we are listening. There they go.
You can go first. Rock, paper, scissors. Okay.
All right. Would you state your name for the record and begin the testimony?
My name is Devin Smith. Good evening, Councilperson Ketsi Losada and Councilperson Curtis Jones Jr. Thank you for organizing this meeting on public safety in Kensington. My name is Devin Smith. I'm a student in 5th grade at Gloria Casares Elementary. I have been attending this school for 6 years. I also been very involved in helping improve my school community. I am known as a young change maker for using my voice to advocate for a safer and cleaner neighborhood and better community at school for all. That is why I'm here to share with you and the public what it's like living in Kensington and going to school here. I hope my testimony helps improve things for my family and all of us who live and work here. Some people who do not live in Kensington may ask, what is it like living here? So I'm here to tell you what it's like living here for me. On a regular day, I see people on the street selling, buying, and using drugs. That is something I see on my way to school, on my way home from school, and when I have to venture out to the corner store to buy something. There is so much trash on our streets, I feel disgusted and sad to see this is my neighborhood. People sit in front of stores all day selling drugs with no consequence. I know if I misbehaved at school, I would get a consequence from my teacher or
Take your time.
Or Mr. Nunez. How do they not get in trouble? It's not even safe for us to play outside at all because you never know when someone may shoot a gun. My questions for you are how come kids in Kensington don't have safe places to play, like parks or safe streets to walk to libraries? Yeah, are we not worth it? How can people walk to their corner stores without fear of getting shot? Why is Kensington train station so dirty? Why is gun violence or just violence so bad in Kensington? There are so many questions but no answers. My parents tell me and my sister about all the time about how they grew up in Kensington and how back in the day it wasn't perfect, but it was cleaner and safer. Why can't my generation experience the same? Thank you for your time and for allowing me to speak. I hope you can change things. I also want to invite you to my school for Career Week on May 22nd. I hope you can visit. Good evening, Good evening, Councilmember Ketsi Lozada and Good evening, Councilmember Ketsi Lozada and Councilmember Curtis Jones Jr. My name is Yoleni Solano. I am in the 5th grade, a student at Gloria Cáceres Elementary here in here in Kensington. I have been attending since 2nd grade along with my little younger sister, Miguelina, who's in the 3rd grade. I have lived in this area with my mom and dad and 3 siblings for the last 4 years. I'm here to share with you and the community what my experience has been here. It is not good. For example, my siblings and I are constantly exposed to secondhand smoke because of plenty of people smoking in front of and around our house. That's not all. There are plenty of people doing drugs on the street or while sitting on our porch. Laying on our couch, sometimes we have to wake them up and ask them to leave. My dad deals with that every day. We all have fear for our safety. One time, someone threw a beer bottle out our front door, and it broke all over the porch. My parents are worried so much for our safety that they moved our bedrooms from the front of the house to the room facing the backyard, so that no bullet pierces through our windows. I walk to school with my little sister every day. On my way there, I find clusters of people we have to walk by quickly, not making eye contact, who smoke and curse in front of us, and who are definitely not a good influence on children. Sometimes I have to advise my sister to mind her own business and not to pay any attention to them, because we don't know if those people have guns on them, or know how they're going to react if we make eye contact with them or say anything about what they're doing. Sometimes there is no crossing guards, and I have to make sure I am responsible for myself and my little sister when crossing the street. I worry about my little sister or I getting kidnapped. It makes me feel very anxious. I also wish people outside of Kensington knew that my neighborhood could be fun sometimes. For example, on Christmas last year, there was a parade with floats and they were giving everyone presents. Santa even picked up one of the children and brought them on top of the floats. I also want people to know how unsafe the streets are, especially for children like me. I have personally seen many car accidents that make me afraid of being near the roads. All of this is not good for my mental health. I would like the mayor and city council to ensure the rule of law is enforced so that children like me can enjoy a safe and healthy community. Thank you.
Thank you. I have to catch my breath. Your testimony is amazing. Please continue.
Good afternoon, Good afternoon, Council.
We have to fix their mic.
Hello.
There we go.
Good afternoon, Council, people, and audience. My name is Donnie Benjamin. I'm also a student at Gloria Cáceres on G Street and Ontario Street. I have been living in Kensington for 1 year. My family and I used to live in New Jersey. I live with my 2 sisters, my brothers too, and my mom and my dad. My little brother Jalil goes to the school with me. Where we used to live in Lawnside, New Jersey, I remember it was very clean and peaceful, where it is very different. Where I live in Westmoreland Street, it's scary that what people do around me is scary. The people around me and the substances that they carry, it makes it scary. I feel like they are very, very sad. Maybe people who sell drugs think it's a good way to make money, but I don't. I don't feel safe because the drugs are available to anybody, adults, young people, and children like me. That is not good. I wish people who don't live in Kensington knew that where that there are people like me and my family who just want to do the right thing and do well in school and work and live in a peaceful place where there is no trash on the streets and where children do not have to see injections and people injecting themselves or selling drugs. I wish more people cared about this community because then the residents, like my parents and siblings, would feel safe and not feel like we're trapped in our own house or held hostage by the violence and the drugs on the streets. When I grow up, I would like to be an entrepreneur. I love technology and I would like to learn as much as possible because I knew it's the future. Maybe some of this it can help make my neighborhood safer. Thank you for listening to my testimony.
Good evening, council members. I do not have my testimony. I have my students' testimony. I'm going to let that speak for itself.
Well, let's give them a round of applause for their bravery, for their persistence. We need to let them know this is not normal and it's not okay. We're here and we're going to make a difference. We're listening, we're writing, we're making our own notes to make suggestions. So thank you for that testimony. Are there any questions? Oh, Member Squilla.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just want to say, when I first came, I said I wasn't going to say anything, and I've been listening because we've been doing this for a long time here. But hearing this testimony today, shows us we failed the community. We failed you, the young people. We failed the teachers, the parents, everybody. We're all to blame. This has been going on for a long time, and everybody's turning their heads. We allow people to walk the streets, doing whatever they want to do, engaging them, and then letting them continue that same path. We pay more attention to the people who are unhoused in the community than the people who live in the community. We don't even help the people who are unhoused because we engage them, and if they don't want the help, we let them continue that. We have failed. It's time to do something about it. We got to stop listening and start doing. When you hear the youth that we're traumatizing to see this and think it's okay, it's not. We're elected to represent the people of this community. You can't throw people away. We need to help the folks on the street and get them off the street.
There you go.
We need to help the people in the community by getting them off the street and let them to be able to live in a community that's safe and clean. They go out and play, go to the store. This would never happen anywhere else, and we're turning a blind eye to it. So I wasn't going to say anything, but I have to, and we're going to do everything we can to make sure we're just not cleaning up after the problem. Cleaning up after the problem doesn't fix the problem. We need to address the problem. We see it on the street. If those folks on the street, when we engage them, they need help. And we don't give them help by letting them decide not to take help. So there needs to be a consequence of them not taking help. And we have to do that. We have to change our policies. We've been doing the same thing for 5 years. It doesn't work. It's getting worse. So it's time to change that, and now is the time. Thank you.
Mr. Sequilla, you didn't fail us. It's just a new option for a new opportunity.
Thank you for that. I'll be able to sleep tonight better for that. This is an opportunity. And you taught us something today, because every obstacle and every challenge gives us opportunity. And this is an opportunity to make it happen. And it's up to us to do that. Thank you.
Member Squilla, I'm glad you said something. Thank you so much.
Listen,
Member
now,
Harity?
my colleagues, you all hear me talk all the time on the council floor about my kids. And you know, I don't have any kids. My kids are grown. And when I say my kids, this is what I'm talking about. This is who I care about. This is what we have to fix. The fact that they can speak on this is not right. They should know nothing about this. We are robbing them of their childhood. And time, as Councilman Squilla said, it's time for a change. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Member Goodyear.
I just wanted to first thank you all for coming here and sharing with us. It was so powerful, but also heartbreaking, but necessary. So thank you very much. I wanted to know, are we allowed to ask questions to the admin or no?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, member.
Sorry, I just wasn't sure if we were allowed to ask questions to the partners from the administration who are here. I agree with Councilmember Squilla that the changes need to be deep, that they need to be real. I also think, though, that I'm hearing so many things voiced that are just very basic things, and it feels like embarrassing to me that we can't meet some of those things within the short term. So to hear the middle school talk about needing a calming room, like how much would that cost, right? Probably like a few thousand, I don't even know. That's not a huge ticket item. To hear the young woman talk about not having crossing guards, like why can't we have an effort through Streets, who manages that effort now, to get crossing guards around these schools? To hear, some of the children talk about the trash on the way to school or needing traffic calming. I know that some of these issues are very big, are very deep, but I feel like we should come out of this hearing with a list of very basic things that we're going to do, in the next couple of months, right? Yes. Because the kids deserve that.
So, remember, you hit it right on the head. The idea is to listen. Sympathy is one thing, empathy is another, and getting involved is a third. And we all changed by what we heard today, and we're not going back to what you've had to do.
Mr. Chair, I have a question. Sorry, the question was, and I don't know who's here from MDO, can we develop that list? Can we develop the list of 3 months from today, or whatever time period this committee wants to pick, these are the short-term things that we're going to have happen in this area?
Who do we have?
How hard is that to do?
From the MDO, would you please come up to the witness table?
Hi, good afternoon. Noelle Foysen. I'm with the Managing Director's Office, Director of the Opioid Response Unit. I've been collecting that list, Council Member, and we will absolutely guarantee to come back with a plan.
Yeah. I would like that as a deliverable from this hearing. I think in the very short term, the very reasonable.
The mic.
I would like that as a deliverable of this hearing. In the very short term, I think we should have a list of very simple things that we are going to deliver to this community. And these are things that the city could do pretty easily. We just have to get it done.
To your point, one of the things on the list has to be a safe corridor to this school. That includes cameras, that includes crossing guards, that includes boots on the ground from the police department so that they can get safe passage to a school. And that's the basics. What you said is true. Nothing that they've asked for is unreasonable. These are things that are their right. And we just need to do a list. I saw from the Kensington Business Association comment, we have the Commerce Department here. On my way up here, I couldn't help but see that across the street in a park, there was an encampment with tents all the way down the street. And I couldn't help but notice that every business that was across from that encampment was closed. That is a direct result of some of the unintended consequences that come with trying to help people and then not having consequences for some of the quality of life crimes. How do you run a business if you can't keep inventory? It's not fair. All right, I'm off my soapbox. Member Vaughn?
I just like to say, babies, we hear you. And we are definitely here because we want to make a difference. You have people on this stage that recognize and know that this problem has been going on for quite some time because we live here also. So there has never been a time where you have had 3 council people representing your area of the city, and we mean what we say, and we say what we mean. That's right. And it's to the point, that Councilwoman Lozada will tell you, whenever she contacts me and asks for something or support for this area, I'm saying yes. No matter who gets offended, who doesn't like it, or what it takes, I am for you, and you are guaranteed changes are coming. A change is coming for your community because we want you to know we care and we want you to feel safe. Now, I don't know, like one of my colleagues said, if we can get to policing, but if not, we'll try to get to parenting because the police need to do a big hiring as well. It's a lot of shortages as a result of the pandemic that we all suffered through. But with that being said, we can provide a calming room. We can give you some of the things that you are asking for, and understand that some of the most important people in the city are in this room tonight listening to your cries, and we hear you. Please give us a chance to make a difference.
Thank you. Thank you, member. So thank you guys for your testimony and your bravery. We appreciate you. Member Glass, I think we have 2 more panels.
Mr. Chairman, our next panel is Casey O'Donnell, CEO of Impact Services, Susan Post, CEO of Esperanza Health Center, and Brian Belknap, LEAP Youth Advocate from McPherson Square Library.
Thank you so very much. Please come up to the witness table, have a seat. Thank you for your patience. And state your name for the record and begin your testimony.
You want to start?
Yes, please.
Casey O'Donnell, Impact Services. My office is right up the street. We've all spoken.
Hold the mic closer.
Casey O'Donnell, Impact Services. My office is right up the street. I am not going to read my testimony tonight because I think, hearing from the kids is the most important thing. I do have to say a couple things, though. One, we're sitting in the back of the room feeling like we're getting gaslit. We've had this conversation 3 times a year for the last 7 years with most of this group of people. So I think, one, we are at an inflection point, right? We know mid-May there are going to be changes. Hopefully not too many changes of the people that have been supporters of this work and new people that have been doing this work for a long time but maybe have never held office. I'm only here because Councilwoman Lozada asked me to be here and read another testimony on this same subject. I'm glad that children were able to speak tonight. I think from a solution-based perspective, I will read 2 sentences, which are, I can't stress enough the need for a comprehensive, trauma-informed, and resident-driven plan for Kensington. I want all of you to consider what you want for your own block. Don't think about Kensington for a minute if you're not from here. Think about what you want for your own block, your own family, and your own community. Think about the collective power that you possess as a group to actualize that vision in your own spaces, right? We need to offer that same power and influence equally to all neighborhoods, including Kensington. Affluent neighborhoods can make a phone call to solve the problems on their blocks, and that problem gets handled for them. Middle-class people are empowered to deal with the block themselves. Neighborhoods like Kensington are not afforded that, right? Other people are making decisions for this neighborhood. And the truth is, the solutions are already in this room.
Yep.
You have a lot of smart, talented people on the stage. Look at the law enforcement brass that's in here. Kevin Bethel stepped up, right? He's been working on this, the school-to-prison pipeline. You have talent in this room. All of the police brass work hard, and we're happy to have partnership with the MDO's office. DBH IDS is here. The DA's office, who, by the way, has a brilliant data lab. I don't know if any of you are accessing the data that the DA makes available. The police have a data lab. None of you are working together, right? There's ideological gridlock in this city, which actually prevents progress. You're aware that you have a sidewalk ordinance, right? That dictates what can happen in public space. And you know that it's not actually enforceable, right? But it exists in the city code, and we've all read it, and we don't know why it doesn't mean anything. So we've been here before, and so let's take the opportunity on the 17th to reset, figure out how all you guys are going to work together and how we can get the job done for you. We are here working in the neighborhood every day. I thought after my son was out of diapers, I wouldn't be cleaning up human feces anymore, right? But I'm doing that into my 50s. I have 4 guys that just clean up needles all day. That's their full-time job, right? We're all here doing the work. We are here to support you. We are here to work for you. But you guys got to work together to get it done, okay?
Well said. I'm gonna push back a little bit. I vouch for everybody on this stage that this is not just talk, and that most of the people are going to come back, and we're going to hold the next mayor accountable to no longer ignore this neighborhood. You can take that to the bank. All right? Thank you so much.
Mr. Chairman, our next witness is Susan Post, CEO of Esperanza Health Center.
Welcome. Thank you for your patience. State your name for the record and begin your testimony.
Okay, I'm Susan Post. I'm the CEO of Esperanza Health Center, and I'm glad to be with you tonight. Esperanza has 3 health centers in North Philly, and our largest is at Kensington and Allegheny. We recently opened our first wellness center, The Core, on the same block to provide health and wellness services in Kensington, and I'm very glad to be here tonight. We're a bilingual, faith-based health center compelled by Christian faith, serving almost 10,000 people in Kensington. I believe we are one of the biggest investors in Kensington. We've spent more than $30 million on this one block to provide high-quality health care and wellness programming. We moved to Kensington about 15 years ago. Our goals are long-term for these guys, and we're hoping to see many people achieve wellness in our community. We're looking for the health of both those who are suffering from the addiction of opioids, as well as the residents of the community who are experiencing the trauma and health risks that this brings to everyone. In recent years, as substance use disorders move throughout Kensington, I've been heartbroken to encounter mothers who are just walking around looking for their adult children. Have you seen my boy? Can you help me find my daughter? This is a space where family tragedy intersects with social, mental health, and medical needs of a community. Families are devastated by the opioid epidemic, both those who are addicted as well as those who watch it on their streets. These families could be my family or your family. We can't help Kensington without first considering the needs of those that are addicted to opioids. We operate our health center and encourage the city to engage in community-driven public strategies to improve the quality of life in Kensington and to address the opioid crisis. As a local business, we're devastated by the destruction and violence around us. It's rough every single day. Our staff and unfortunately our patients are faced with the challenges of being physically present in a community where the open market sale of opioids and narcotics has turned it into a disaster in terms of safety and because of gun violence. At Esperanza, we respond to frequent overdoses on our sidewalk, sometimes multiple times in the day, and it's not really our responsibility to do so on the sidewalk, but we do it because preserving life is our business. On multiple occasions, our employees have been caught in the crossfire within 100 feet of an active shooter in the course of their workday. Our security people now wear bulletproof vests. After one shooting, a medical assistant said that she was torn between dropping to the sidewalk to escape the bullets and also worrying about the danger of the needles that were on the sidewalk. And she does this because she's choosing to serve here in Kensington, and it isn't right that that's what she's worried about during her day. She's a healthcare worker. In the fall, I was attending an anti-violence evening meeting at Esperanza with many people in this room and with the DA's office as gunfire broke out literally 10 yards from where I sat in the meeting. A load of more than 50 rounds was shot, endangering everybody in our community meeting, and more importantly, one man was left dead on the street right next to where we met. And I felt a dilemma after that. I wondered, is it right for patients to have to consider the danger of traveling into a violent community in order to see their doctor? How do I respond to this? I don't believe that we are doing enough to limit the open-air drug dealing. The number of people living on the sidewalk continues to grow, and the lack of sanitation is absolutely overwhelming. The gun violence resulting from the drug trafficking is totally out of control. We need to do more, and we need to do it collaboratively. This is vital to the health of the entire city. And so from Esperanza's perspective, I'd like to request that the city consider the following priorities. Number one, address the enormous safety concerns with regard to gun violence, and that all begins with stopping the selling of the drugs here. To me, this is the most important issue. Secondly, increase the city's capacity for inpatient rehab for opioid use disorder. Third, find creative solutions for sheltering individuals who are still using substances so they can be brought off the streets safely. 4, deploy additional outreach workers to serve as bridges to rehab, emergency shelters, and other needed linkages. In many ways, this would be as great or greater impact than adding more police presence. 5th, improve the sanitary conditions of our community, as this is an urgent need and will go far in improving everyone's health. And lastly, what I think would be best for us is that the city would commit to creating a safe corridor for those who are coming to the Esperanza Health Center, that they might be protected as they arrive at our medical center and at the wellness center. This would help usher health into our community. Please do not abandon us. There are a good number of amazing organizations who, like Esperanza, are putting themselves out there to serve this important community. And the residents, while often rightfully angry, are engaged. We need more people from the city to add to the solution. We can't do it on our own. We need help. The city must protect our safety and the safety of the residents. What is happening now is not okay. The massive problems facing Kensington need a massive response. There has to be a relentless will from the city that matches the will of the residents to make a change. All that we and the neighbors want is no more and no less than any other neighborhood in the city. Thank you for listening to my
Thank you. Thank you. Well said.
Mr. Chairman, our next witness is Brian Belknap, youth advocate at McPherson Square Library.
Welcome. State your name for the record and begin your testimony.
Brian Belknap. I'm a resident of Kensington, and I work at McPherson Square Library as the LEAP youth advocate. So thank you for the committee for holding this hearing. I'm reading a statement put together by myself and Joel Nichols, the cluster leader of the North Philadelphia Neighborhood Libraries. Our statement is not a full list of our safety concerns for the people of this community. We're choosing to focus our observations and concerns of our library staff for the mental well-being of young people growing up in Kensington. We know Kensington is consistently a leader in gun violence and homicides. Each person shot has a family, and the trauma of these incidents ripples across our community. One teen that works for the library witnessed his cousin bleed out on the street after being shot. He struggled to sleep for weeks afterward and admitted to having anxiety merely being outdoors. Another of our attendees was hit by an automobile as the driver fled a shooting in the street. Unfortunately, many of our children have witnessed gun violence, lost families, and been victims themselves. As staff, we work to find these young people supports. We take classes and trainings on trauma-informed practice. We seek out resources in the city and community. We partner with schools, community organizations, and city agencies to expand support structures available to young people. However, we are unaware of any Kensington-focused groups specifically addressing the mental impact of gun violence. When we sought resources for our teen, what we found out is that a person experiencing anxiety being outdoors, would need to travel to another part of the city to find help catering to his needs. From our training in both education and trauma awareness, we know that children learn by mirroring the behavior around them. Last year, outdoor fires were commonplace throughout Kensington. That spring, we had a rash of teens and preteens setting fires in the park. We experienced violence throughout our community, and we see unsheltered people living in dehumanizing conditions. And unfortunately, we continually find young children throwing rocks at the unsheltered. We also hear reports of teens initiating violence on the unsheltered. As a staff, we are extremely concerned about what mirroring looks like in the young people of Kensington. We work at modeling kindness and empathy to all people, and we are making a conscious effort to grow the number of adults that our young people see practicing healthy stress responses and conflict resolutions. And we've been thrilled with gains made. The Department of Parks and Recreation led a massive multiple group effort to activate McPherson Square last summer. This fall, we saw significant gains in the healthy stress responses from our frequent attendees of those summer programs. We are encouraged by this, but we remain concerned that if the children of Kensington keep reflecting the behavior that they see around them, can we balance the healthy behavior against the unhealthy enough that they mirror back healthy behavior? We also know through training the importance of stability in gaining resilience. However, we witness massive instability in the lives of our young people. Poverty, crime, and racism keep many of our families from stable housing. Many of our families move multiple times each year. We had a family of multiple siblings come to the library because they could not find their way to their new home, but they could find their way to the library. We work with several families each year that find themselves homeless. The fragmentation and instability of the lives of our young people extends beyond housing insecurity. The heart of Kensington has no local neighborhood high school. This means that this means that it is unlikely that all of your young person's friends from elementary school will attend the same high school as them. Because summer employment programs are often tied to housing, are often housed at high schools, this fragmentation extends into summer employment opportunities. Our traumatized teens will likely be asked to travel to an unfamiliar location in order to find summer employment. We have also witnessed instability of assistance in our young person's lives. No one walks the streets of Kensington along before a stranger offers them assistance. This is true of our young people as it is for the adults. Often that stranger, that assistance, will never be seen by the young person again. The young person still faces all the same challenges as before. This is a fairly unique part of life in Kensington, and one that adds to the instability in the lives of our children. A young person's life in Kensington is full of potential trauma. As a library staff, we seek to promote resilience, and we are concerned about the level of instability in the lives of our young people. People working in the field of trauma experience a common burden. You interact with people who often need you to be hopeful and positive. You need to remain hopeful even when you find situations heartbreaking. You need to stay upbeat when you find yourself discouraged. For the staff of McPherson Square Library, we understand this burden well. Everyone working in Kensington understands this burden. Our building is frequently used as a toilet, and we are often aware of all sorts of horrors happening around the area. We feel the struggles and the hardships of our community. Still, when that kindergartner walks through the door at 3:09, they deserve a smiling, joyful welcome. We draw upon our emotional reserves to make this happen. We do so daily. Working at McPherson Square Library comes with a toll to your mental health. Thank you for the committee for hearing our observations.
Mr. Chairman, that is our final witness to testify for this panel.
Are there any questions from members of comments?
I know we've been here before. I know that we know that we tend, as government, we tend to work in silos. We tend not to share information. We tend not to collect data that we're willing to share with others. I think that what we can promise you here today is that we will change that. We will change how we do business in this community so that not only this district is better, but so that our city is better. We will break up the concentration that is happening in Kensington, regardless of whether some of us are here or not in the future. Everyone up here, when I asked to come to Kensington, when I've talked to them about making Kensington a priority, and many of them who are sitting in the audience who work for city government have all said yes. They all understand that what we've done up until now has not worked. They all understand that a big part of what has been missing in the past has been the community voice. I think that one of the biggest things that we have missed was the young people's voice in all of this, right? Because I think it brings a different perspective to the conversation. It brings a different commitment, not only from us as elected, but from all of those folks who work in city government, because that's their reality. And we have a responsibility to them. We have a responsibility to their families. And so I think that that is what is different. And you have a commitment. All I am going to ask you as providers, as community-based organizations in this community, is to give us that opportunity. This young lady said that today is another opportunity to make something different, and we want to take that opportunity. We just ask you to be a partner in that process.
Chair recognizes Member Harity.
You know, I'm kind of overwhelmed with what's going on here tonight. And as been said by you guys, this has been done before. I wasn't up here before. I'm up here now. I can honestly say that me, Sharon, and Ketsy, who is our district council person, Squilla, who is our district council person, we are going to support them. Everybody up here is ready to do what needs to be done. You have a voice now. I'm not going anywhere. I mean, I might not get elected in May, but they got to deal with me until January. And I can guarantee you that it'll get a lot worse, you know. So with that being said, I appreciate the work that you do. As the boots on the ground, you know, you see what's going on. And, you know, I'm not going to disappear. I live at 722 Willard Street. You know, everybody knows. I put it out there all the time. People always laugh and say, well, you put your home address on things. Aren't you afraid somebody's going to come to your house? And I say, I live in Kensington. Let them come to my house. You know, I'd love them to see what I have to see every day and what the kids and seniors in my neighborhood have to see. So while we have done this before, I can guarantee you that these people haven't been here before. And we are all here now. And, you know, I'm just happy to have Councilman Jones and Councilman Johnson, whose neighborhoods actually were kind of like ours a while back. And they were able to fight and bring their neighborhood back. And, you know, I'm going to fight, and we're going to bring this neighborhood back. Hetzi Lozada has got your back. Sharon has had your back. I got your back. This ain't happening anymore. Things are going to change.
Chair recognizes Member Vaughn.
Mr. O'Donnell, why I have empathy for what you've been through in the past, please ask somebody about me. I don't play any games with anyone in my life or in my professional or personal life. And I don't have to BS you or gaslight you to believe anything that comes out of my mouth. When I say we hear you and we're here to make a difference, believe that. I am not running for re-election. I have nothing to lose. I have served this city for 35 years of my life, and I'm not going anywhere either. And you can ask a lot of people in this room about me and my reputation of providing services to the city of Philadelphia. I am not afraid, and I need you to give us a chance. I get offended when somebody say that I'm full of it, and that's what you said, but we'll prove you wrong.
That's it.
We'll prove you wrong.
That's it. That's it. Thank you, Member Vaughn. Member Gutierrez.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I wanted to thank all of you for your tremendous public service to this neighborhood and just everything that you do on a daily basis to serve everyone that's trying to live and survive here. I have a question for Ms. Post. I really appreciated the very sort of concrete recommendations that you offered. I had a question about one of your recommendations. I wanted clarity on the need to expand the city's capacity for inpatient rehab. Can you just clarify for me, what does the city's current inpatient rehab capacity look like, and how should we be thinking about expanding that capacity to help what's going on here in Kensington?
I think it's not just the number of beds that are available, but it's also being able to get a person in them. A lot of times we'll have somebody come to Esperanza and they've decided that they're ready for rehab. But there's just so much, it's very complicated and very hard to actually find a place that will take a patient, especially if they're uninsured or don't have much ability to pay. But we do find them, but it's just very hard. And I think if we wanted people to get into a place of health for themselves, that's what we'll need, an easier pathway for that.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Do we have anybody from public health or MDO that could speak to this issue of rehab capacity and how the city is thinking about expanding it, or if the city is thinking about expanding it?
If there is someone from Public Health, please come to the witness stand and state your name for the record.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jill Bowen. Can you hear me? Okay, hi, I'm Dr. Jill Bowen, Commissioner, Department of Behavioral Health, Intellectual Disabilities.
Can we switch mics?
How's that better?
Much better.
Okay. So, first of all, thank you for having this hearing today, this listening session. I'm Dr. Jill Bowen, Commissioner, Department of Behavioral Health and Intellectual Disability Services. There is capacity. We've been expanding the beds. We've been doing that this year pretty intensively. We've also been standing up really innovative programs that break down barriers to access, including programs that are specially created so that people who have wounds from the intensive xylazine impact can get their rehab. We also have programs now that can help people who are on IV antibiotics to be able to begin their rehab. All of these are barriers that we're breaking down one after the other, after the other, after the other. As far as access for people who don't have insurance, we have the BHS, it's absolutely created exactly to provide the services for people who are uninsured. So that is not a barrier if they're uninsured. And if they're on Medicaid, that's why we have community behavioral health in Philadelphia, and they should be able to have access. If anybody's having any difficulty with access, they should be reaching out to us, especially like Esperanza or any of the programs. I'll tell you what I'm more concerned about is the workforce and being able to have the staffing that we need in all of these programs. This is amazing when there's staff that are talking about what their experiences are on the ground. We hear that a lot from the people who are working in the neighborhood and, of course, from the residents in the neighborhood. So any support we can get from City Council, I know we've been talking with you all a lot to help support the providers that are doing this unbelievable, incredible work. But we do have capacity. We've been breaking down barriers left and right over this past year and a half and have also increased the number of beds in the inpatient rehab and expanded the type of care we can provide to address the realities on the ground.
So I often am in situations where there's like a mismatch or a gap between what people like in a community or providers are saying and then like what the city is saying. And so I'm wondering, there probably needs to be a more specific conversation about the access to rehab, but that also leads me to question what regular contact is there between providers and community members and operation and agencies of the city to talk about what resources and services are available and how they're like working on the ground. And then that's my last question, Mr. Chair.
It's a good question. Ooh,
So
good question.
There's lots and lots and lots and lots of effort. We're talking about door-to-door effort, getting materials out, trauma cards, all sorts of efforts to get information out through multiple modalities. There are PSAs running, constantly telling people about the way to access crisis services, 988, as you know. There's posters up. There's trauma cards that are delivered, thousands of them across the city to many locations. There are websites and social media. And so there's many efforts to get that information out to people. Still, there is a question that people have. And as much as we are trying to remove from the equation, I don't know what to do, there's still a lot of that out there. So we are trying, we don't just sit and say, oh, well, we've done that. So we try another approach. So beginning what we call the Tech Tour, Tech for Trauma, Equity, and Community, which is going to community to talk to the people around the table who can also further get the word out. You know, the people from the community who can spread this information out, because we want people to have access to all of our robust treatment programs, and also going provider to provider, which we've already begun doing to make sure that the people who are using the services, the people who provide the services, the people who live in the communities that we serve, that everybody has the same information. And as I say, multiple modalities. We've done a lot of these very intense focus groups to try to figure out what the messaging from community is, because not every community obviously speaks the same languages. processes the same information the same way. We need to communicate to people in the way that they want to be communicated to, not necessarily. So I can say something, but that doesn't mean that the person has heard something or that I've said it in the way that's most meaningful or that I'm the right messenger for that particular message. So we take all of this very, very seriously because this is at the core of the work that we do. So that's our promise from DBHI. That's my promise, just like you are making your promises, that we do not rest. We do not rest. We never stop. And we never stop thinking, and we never stop innovating, we never stop trying, because there's a lot of work to be done. And just like you, we're so impressed with these young people. We've already have established a youth group, and we want to invite these folks to be a part of it. So thank you.
Thank you. Member Harity?
Excuse me, I have a follow-up for you, please. Yes. So you never actually gave us the number of beds that are available. I'd like to know that. I also like to know what is the time frame for them being in the program? Is it 30 days, 60 days, 90 days? Because while for some forms of addiction, 30, 60 days may be okay, but this stuff here, the fentanyl and the tranq and all, it takes longer for them to get out of their system. So is there any avenues for longer term treatment, I guess is what I'm asking. And also I would like to know the number of beds that are available.
Yeah, I'll get you that number of beds. I don't have it off the top of my head, but I can tell you that we do have capacity so that people can get into the programs. The barriers that we're hearing are the access barriers, those are the things that we're breaking down. So we know a lot of them and we have removed a lot of them, but there are then others that we don't know, we learn, we need to break that down because it should be very, very easy to get in. And as you know, you want to act immediately. So one of the things that we've done to try to make it easier to get in is put assessors on the ground, right? So you don't have to stop, have an assessment, go someplace else. By then you've lost the person, right? They've already walked out, they're done. So we've expanded our ability to do that, right, to get them in. So we do have capacity. We're trying to get people in exactly when they're ready and when they need to be there. And the assessments are one of the big ways in which, we do that. So we'll get you the actual number. As I said, we do have capacity. Again, concerned about the workforce. As far as how long people can stay, with some of the more complex issues, they are staying longer. The program I was talking to you about, which is the first one, I have to say that the state is very, very excited about a model that we've built, which is for people who have wounds that require acute hospital inpatient stays. For medical care, they're not getting their rehab then, right? And you know that moment, right? And then they stay longer than they need to there because they're in an IV antibiotic. Well, we have figured out a blended finance model for sustainment. We figured out a programming model. And now we are running a program that shifts them into rehab even while they're on their IV antibiotics. And we figured out a way to sustain it. And everybody's pretty interested and excited about it across the Commonwealth because it's a model they haven't seen before. So that's what I mean by we don't stop. And they, of course, will need longer stays than others would.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Member Johnson?
Yeah, thank you. Just a brief comment on one for Casey O'Donnell. Just talking about something I think is very relevant regarding this conversation is just making sure as we move forward, the key stakeholders and the leadership here in the city of Philadelphia in partnership with our council members are at the table and are on the same page when it comes to the overall strategy and addressing the particular issues that are taking place inside this community, rather it be from an intervention standpoint, rather it be from a prevention standpoint, or even a law enforcement standpoint. All of the key stakeholders have to be at the same table with a common goal and a common mission, and that's to make sure that these children and these neighbors and these families in this community are safe, irregardless of ideologies, right? Because the common goal has to be taking this community back. And yes, you're right. I was here in 2011 at another school when I first became a council person about this very same issue. So if we're going to move forward, we'll find new leadership, right? There has to be, at least from my perspective, either monthly meetings, let me change that, weekly meetings, right, with a dashboard and a scorecard on how we're making progress in a variety of different areas that are impacting this community. But most importantly, it can't just be everybody in city government. It has to be a partnership with the community to make sure we're moving forward in the right direction. And so that was key points that you made that I just wanted to comment on as it relates to how we're going to be working in partnership and moving forward, because there have to be a concerted effort. Even talking to my colleague, we're not even talking about the enforcement of blocks being rented out to drug dealers. That's a whole different conversation that fuels to some of the things that we're seeing taking place inside the community from an enforcement standpoint, that everybody has to be on the same page on as it relates to how we're addressing the issue. And so also, Brian Belknap, correct? It's critically important that we look at the trauma that our young people are experiencing living in this part of Kensington, right? But it's also happening all throughout the city of Philadelphia, because hurt people, right? Some people pick up habits based upon what they see, right? Going to and from school. So that trauma-informed piece is so critically important, and it has to be intense, but also hopefully what comes out of this as well is all the city agencies in the city of Philadelphia have to address this issue with a sense of urgency, because there's a variety of different issues taking place in the city of Philadelphia, and to be upfront, it's not going to just totally change overnight. It's going to take hard work and digging deep and putting your foot in the ground and making sure that we're addressing this issue all on one accord. And so I just wanted to respond based upon those two comments that were made, but to thank all three of you for taking time out of your schedule and participating and providing testimony.
Thank you.
And I just want to say one more thing to everyone here. Reach out to us. Let us treat you like the affluent people. My telephone number in City Hall is 215-686-3450.
Give me your cell number.
Not only do I answer your call, I'm trying to get back to you in less than 12 hours with some type of response, if not a solution. We get back to you. I pride myself on constituent services, and my team understands that it's important to me, and they will respond. Well, they got to deal with me. So don't think that that type of response or service is only catered to one area of the city. You're eligible for it too. Give me a call.
Thank you. Mr. O'Donnell, you wanted to respond?
If I could just add,
Hold the mic.
If I could just add quickly, one, and not to disrespect anybody here, it's not just a list of interventions, right? We actually have to agree on a resident-driven, trauma-informed, comprehensive plan, and then also set boundaries around that plan. So for example, everyone in this community, whether they're supporting people in their addiction that are unhoused or they're residents that are frustrated, everyone here agrees that everybody deserves safety, right? That includes people that are in the narcotics trade. So if you have 900 guys in this neighborhood, and that's about the calculation, that are on corners, that means we need 1,000 jobs, right? So we have to decide what problem we're solving for, create a plan around it, and then get everybody on board for that plan and stick to it. And we're here to do it for you and with you, but we actually have to do that. That means if you're gonna have wound care, everybody decide where that wound care is happening, but then it can't happen anywhere else, right? If you're gonna give out food, let's all decide where people can eat, but then it can't happen anywhere else, right? And nobody wants to stop people doing work that they think is God's work or they're doing it from their heart, but we have to be able to set some boundaries around this. And that includes creating safety for everybody. The last thing I'm gonna say, and I'm telling you this as a clinical psychologist with a specialization in trauma, you can't teach trauma while people are getting re-traumatized. You can't ask a child to feel what the real normal feeling would be when they see someone dying. Because if they felt that every day, think about the emotional impact. So what we do is we have to figure out what problem we're solving for and create safety for everybody.
Well said. Well said.
Councilmember
Squilla.
Squilla would like to be recognized.
Thank you. And I want to piggyback on what Councilmember Johnson said and what Casey just said. It has to be a united approach. We can't work in silos any longer. Silos do not work. We have an opportunity, and council came up with a position, a public safety position in the administration, and I know they weren't supportive of it, but the job of that person was to coordinate and collaborate with every department in the city of Philadelphia. And yeah, maybe there is somebody who's supposed to be doing that now that's not happening. This will force the issue of people needing to work together, whether they agree or not. The reason why we have so many beds available, and I'm not sure that's true because I walked with people and we took them to places where they said, oh, there's not a bed available.
There you go.
But if the reasons we might have beds available is because we have programs. We have a PAD program where we go things and we offer warm handoffs, right? And we do that and we do it to help people. But then there's no consequences if they don't go and follow up on those warrant handoffs. We have AMP Court that we set up, right? We have AMP Court where people then have chances to go into a court system that can offer services, but we don't send people over to AMP Court. So we need to work together as a universe, as a city, and understanding that we don't even have to agree on everything. One thing we do agree is with public safety. And that's what this position, there's a ballot question on the ballot, this election, is to allow this position to be started in the administration. And so we do have an opportunity to start this, and that person's job will be to coordinate efforts. We went to Trenton this year, and what we learned from them, there was something different that they did that we didn't do, is every department worked on what they were doing together, public safety, how they dealt with trauma, how they dealt with cleaning streets, how they dealt with parks and recs. It was every department working and meeting and then coming up with a plan. And it was driven by the community, right? It's not that difficult. We could do this. We have the people on the street that see it day in and day out. We need to rely on them to have them work with us so that everybody knows what everybody else is doing. And so we have to stop the silos. We have to work together. You're going to hear that time and time again. And the people in the community know what we need to do. We need to follow that direction. Thank you.
The resources are in this room. And if we are able to work together better, we can solve this problem.
Councilmember Jones, the final panel will be Marnie Almet Lowry, Chair of the Kensington Independent
Thank
Civic
you so much for
Association.
your testimony.
Alfred Klosterman from the Harrogate Civic Association.
Thank you. Please come to the witness stand and say it again.
And also Shannon Farrell from the president of the Harrogate Civic Association.
All right. Welcome, welcome. Thank you for your patience. State your name for the record and begin your testimony. Switch up.
There it goes. Is it working now? Yeah. Thank you, Council, for coming here. My name is Marnie Almet Lockery. I'm the Democratic Ward Leader of the 33rd Ward, and I'm the Chair of Kensington Independent Civic Association. Yes, Councilman Jones, you just made the connection. For anybody not sitting there, Councilman Harity is my other half. We have been together for 16 years now. I moved him up in the world from South Philly. I'm sorry, Mark. I don't think there's one person in this room from any of the managing directors, the behavioral health, or the police department that do not know who I am. I have fought, argued, or, I'm sorry, D.A. Krasner, you know who I am too. I have fought with plenty of yous, I have argued with plenty of yous, but when I'm doing that for my community. I have lived at 720 East Willard Street. My parents moved in there in 1970. In 1992, when I separated from my first husband, I came back and I live at 722 East Willard Street now with Councilman Harity. I raised my 2 children there. My 4 siblings and I were raised there. I worked for Senator Sharice Street. My sister is a lieutenant in the Philadelphia Police Department. My brother was an electrician until he passed away, and my sister is a respiratory therapist at Temple Hospital. My 36-year-old son is an EMT for Einstein Medical, and my daughter works for the IRS. We are the products of Kensington. That is what Kensington is. That was what Kensington offers. I have a 14-year-old grandson that will not come out of the house unless he checks the Citizens app. If we're out and we get off 95, he checks the Citizens app. I have Chief Inspector McCarrick. I have Captain Wheeler. I have Captain Bullock. I have Inspector Luca. They are my friends. They are my helpers. Every community meeting, when they want to beat up on our police department, I stand and I defend them every time, because it is not their fault and it's not Commissioner Outlaw's fault that their hands are tied. It is the top administration's fault. Thankfully, after May 16th, he will no longer be there. It'll take to January, but we will have somebody new. I give every council person sitting up there right now a pass, because none of you were here except Councilman Squilla 3 years ago when we had our meeting at Harrogate Civic Association in the Powell Center. Councilman Squilla was there then, and District Attorney Krauser was there when I chased him out of the building because I didn't like his answers. Not personal. He has his opinion, I have mine. But I live here. I asked them then to move into this district. I asked everybody at, when were we at Elkin, Shannon, last summer? Take your families and move them in here. Bring your wife, your children, your mother, your grandchildren. Move into Kensington for a month. See what we live with for a month. Don't drive through our neighborhood. Walk through our neighborhood. Our biggest thing, putting out fires. Councilman Jones, you talked about the encampment. That's one very small encampment. We've removed how many off of the avenue, Shan?
At least 6.
And they come back again. You know how they remove them? It's like getting somebody out of a house from sheriff's sale. They post it, they take them to court. I have Municipal Court Judge Dugan sitting back there. I worked with AmCorp with him. AmCorp wonderfully. We need it back, we need it up and going. He is one of the best judges when it comes to AmCorp. We put how many people into help? But you know what the problem with putting them into a rehab is? You know what the problem with putting them into a safe handoff is? They can't get a cigarette. If they walk out to get a cigarette, they're thrown out of the program. You cannot expect them to quit alcohol, quit drugs, and then quit smoking all on the same day. It's impossible. You want to talk about trauma? Our kids have PTSD. They are walking over bodies laying there. They're seeing things that they should not see. When my grandson was 9, he seen a man injecting in his penis. That's irreprehensible. You can't unsee it. Our children, our future, is being traumatized daily here in this community. On Saturday, we had a shooting at G. and Madison. They ran down 700 block of Willard Street. All they did was told the kids to get out of the street. The kids didn't come back out for 4 hours. Saturday was a beautiful day. They should have been out riding their bikes and playing outside. If this was Grace Ferry, South Philly, Overbrook, you would not be having this. I could not see this happening in Overbrook Farms where Bob Brady lives. I am asking, I'm giving a pass to Councilwoman Lozado, Councilwoman Vaughn, and Councilman Harity, because they only got in here in November. And I'll give a pass to Councilman Driscoll because he didn't start to June. But the other council people that are up for re-election, we have been asking, we have been begging, we have been screaming, we have been yelling. This is going on for almost 10 years now. 10 years ago, we did McPherson Library with the Flyers Foundation. $200,000 was put into that playground that the children cannot use outside because it is overtaken by the opioid epidemic. I'm not talking homeless. A homeless person is someone that lost their job and lost their home. That's homeless. The people out there are choosing this. They chose it the first time they stuck that needle in their arm. They chose it the second time, the third time, and the fourth time. After that, they no longer have a choice. They can't make a conscious decision. We need to make that decision for them. It's that plain. It's that simple. They cannot mentally and physically make that choice for themselves. Dave Malloy, he comes to my meetings. He's sitting there. He does, I don't know how many through Mericare handoffs. But he will tell you, You can't expect them to make that choice on their own. They don't have the capacity or the capability. I am not heartless. Everybody has someone in their family or knows somebody that is touched by this epidemic. They said COVID was a pandemic. We have that going on right now here. It's not just Philadelphia. It's not just Pennsylvania. This is going across every part of our state, every part of our country. We need to solve it. Philadelphia is the first city. We are known for where we started. This country started here. Let's start fixing this problem and let the other people see how it's done. I know people worry about civil rights, but our civil rights are being jeopardized. And you know what? They don't have the choice to make these choices for themselves for their civil rights. They wouldn't even know it if we did violate it. I'm sorry. They don't have that mental capacity anymore. Nobody here wants to stop them from getting help. Nobody. But we are losing our children worrying about them. Our children are traumatized. Our businesses are closed. What we are asking for is not hard, and it should not be unimaginable. What we need is your help. We're asking for it for this last time. We need it, and I'm hoping, Councilman, the next time you come into this neighborhood, walk with me. Driving through it doesn't give you the actual impact that walking through it does. And after that, maybe if you come back in 3 to 6 months, you'll see a change because maybe you will be able to have the opportunity to understand what's needed. But I do thank you for coming here instead of having these meetings in City Hall.
So Member Harity, I think I'd be safer walking with her than walking with you. That's a tough one. All right.
I got to go home with her.
Yeah, okay. You were nice. Yeah. Who do we have?
Mr. Chairman, our next witness is Alfred Klosterman from the Harrogate Civic Association.
Thank you for your patience. State your name for the record and begin your testimony.
My name is Alfred Klosterman. I live on a block in the Harrogate section, a very troubled block in a very troubled community due to the opioid crisis. There's a very big drug dealing operation up my corner, so I have a parade of addicts passing by 24/7. On the frequent free sample days, they come in packs of 20 to 30 for free drugs. It's awful. Anything left on the porch or sidewalks can be stolen, especially if it can be sold for drug money. They sit on my steps overnight, shooting up, so I need to sweep their used needles to the curb in the morning. Most days I go to Kensington Avenue early to catch SEPTA. There are more needles and human waste along the way. At the bus stop, more needles and usually dazed addicts staggering around, usually a few prostitutes too. The drug sales in my block have gone on for years. On nice days, the 4 men sell out on the sidewalk. On rainy or cold days, they sell inside the abandoned house they took over. The addicts have their own abandoned house just steps away where they shoot up and pass out. These houses are near the alley, which smells horribly of urine. There's trash everywhere. L&I has sealed both houses, but they are immediately opened up again. The drug crews change over time. The existing dealers are shot and the new crew takes over. This happens once or twice a year. The shootings are usually at night, but not always. I've watched a man jump from a stopped car and shoot a dealer standing on the porch, dead with 1 shot. Another time, I awoke to 18 shots. I saw from my window one of the 2 dealers who had been killed lying in a sea of blood out front. Police told me he was hit 12 times. I had called 911 and watched as the 2 surviving dealers dragged him into a car as police pulled up. Then they all rushed to the hospital. Another time I woke to 16 shots. That night, my neighbor's 12-year-old daughter died on her front step, caught in a dealer's crossfire. And yes, neighbors have confirmed to me, you automatically count the gunshots, even if they awaken you. Another time I was at my computer, 8:35 p.m., when there were shots from the corner. That's the night they hit a 5-year-old lying on their couch with his mother, a bullet through the window frame. I immediately emailed Noelle Foyson of the city's opioid response unit. I told her I was sitting there shaking, that I couldn't take this anymore, that it was horrible. Bless her, she wrote back to calm me and offered trauma resources and anything else I needed. Then and now, though, I just need this to end. I've called and emailed the police many times. I don't know why they haven't been able to help. I've written to most city council members many times. I don't know why they haven't been able to help either. I'm 72, I'm just seeking to have a decent quality of life.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, our final witness for this evening is Shannon Farrell, President of the Harrogate Civic Association.
Do I have to push this?
Thank you. State your name for the record and begin your testimony. It's not working. Can we switch mics?
The red button come
The
on?
red button's on.
There we go.
Got it.
There we go.
I shut it off.
There you go, Shannon.
My name is Shannon Farrell. I'm president of the Harrogate Civic Association. I'm going to sound an awful lot like Casey, but I don't care if I offend you. We've done this over and over, so I really hope that you're new and that you have till January, so I'm going to hold you accountable for trying to hold us accountable for calling you out, because you have colleagues sitting there, and their inaction is where you should be directing your frustration. The fact that we're still living like this is where you should be directing your frustration, never as somebody who's testifying on behalf of the community. He puts work in every day. So, sorry. But we've done this over and over, and we've heard a lot of talk from people. You're not the same council members that we usually sit with. It was Cindy Bass, it was Helen Gim, it was Derek Green, it was Councilwoman Sanchez at the time. So, yeah, Ellen Dom. So I hope that you do stick to what you say. I really do. We want to believe that because our children testified today, which, thank you, Councilwoman Lozada, was very important. It's the first time that they have done that. They're scared to speak out, so I'm very proud of the fact that they did. And many times we sit in meetings and people try to tell us that the most vulnerable citizens in our community are those who are living on the streets that are addicted. And you'll find more people will contact you about them. But I want you to always remember and push back that the most vulnerable citizens in our community are the children, like the children that testified today, who have anxiety about walking their little sister to school. They are the most vulnerable, the most important. And if you prioritize them, you should be able to help with everything else, because helping the addicts in the neighborhood would help them. You know, helping with businesses, staying open later, putting our lights on, getting more an active community, make it safe. We've activated our parks. Now we need people to activate our corridor. We have plans for this, supporting the community plans, supporting the residents. We'll accomplish this. Safe corridors to schools, to me that always seems like a failure. The whole neighborhood has to be safe. I see kids walk out every day that have to walk over needles, human feces, look for drug dealers so that they don't have to dodge bullets. Sometimes they could walk one block to school and they go out of their way to avoid a corner. Or a group of people who are there to buy drugs in the morning, free samples. That's scary for kids walking to school. You see 50, 60 people coming down the street to get free samples. They walk right over you, they don't care about you. That has to be the priority going forward. We prioritized everything else in 7 years. First, it was if we have to help the users and we prioritize them, it'll help use. But it didn't, because the users, they're not getting off the streets, they're not accepting help. There's many reasons why, but we have to prioritize the residents, and that's what we're doing, and that's what we have a plan to do. And I'm glad these are all sitting up there. I will hold you accountable. I will not let you walk away from this. We're very excited about having 3 council members that are from the area to support Councilman Squilla, who has been with us the whole time. If you want to know why things have not worked, you should ask him. He's been trying to lead it, trying to make it work, but it hasn't. I still hold him accountable. I don't let him go. I'm not going to let Harity go. I know him personally. He ain't getting off. I've worked with Kenzie for years. Now it's going to be a different situation. I'll hold you all accountable, because something has to be done. Even if you're going with us and supporting us, if we see that somebody's not helping you, we'll understand that, as long as you're with us and we go forward. And it has to be for the kids. They have to be about our kids, because today, their future is in what we do, and what we decide is in our hands, and our future is going to be in theirs very soon. So let's take care of them, make sure we raise compassionate kids that have safe communities to live in, that are getting good educations, because that's the next step. We don't have the best schools, they don't have the best curriculums, they don't have the best needs, but getting to school safely is the priority. Being able to use your local library is the priority. So what we really need, this panel I'm looking forward to. That's the only reason I have the littlest bit of hope, is because there are 3 members who I know. Sharon's a fellow ward leader, so is Councilman Johnson, so does Councilman Jones. So on all levels, I'll see yous.
Okay.
So everybody said it. There was so much said to you today. I'm not going to pile on. I'm just going to say I'm the person that's going to hold you accountable. I can track you down wherever you are. And don't ever get mad at us for getting mad at you because your colleagues put you in that position. So thank you very much.
We will never get mad at you for getting mad at us as long as we get stuff done. That's what we're committed to do.
Absolutely.
Would you like closing remarks?
I'd just like to take the opportunity to say thank you to all of you who testified today. Thank you for sharing your stories and how you're impacted on a daily basis with everything that is happening here in the Kensington community. I'd like to say thank you to everyone from city government who came and participated, who heard for themselves from young people and from community residents about the need to improve the quality of life. Thank you to our police department who are consistently present and who work really hard to try to protect and serve every day. Thank you to Conwell and the Conwell family for opening your doors to us. We appreciate you. I'd like to recognize my staff and Councilman Jones's staff who put all of this together. Thank you so much for all of the work you all do. So oftentimes you guys we don't say thank you to you all. You are the ones who really make it happen. I look forward to continuing the conversation. Like my colleague said, this is not the last time that we will be here. We will find a different place to visit because to me it's important. I hear from you every day. I live here. I'm raising my family here, so I see it every day. I experience what you experience on a daily basis, but it's important for me to continue to bring my colleagues out to hear from you directly as opposed to hearing from me what I'm hearing from you. And so I plan to continue to bring government to you in the community so that they can get the first hand of what you go through on a daily basis. I appreciate every single one of you. Thank you for coming out.
Thank you, Member Harity.
Well, I want to thank everybody that testified today. Coming from the neighborhood, I know what it is to actually come out and speak up. It could be dangerous, so I applaud you. And kids, please keep your heads up. You guys are great. I always say, and I tell my colleagues all the time, that you would be amazed if you gave my kids the same as every other neighborhood. And I'm not going to stop fighting for you, and I know that my colleagues are not going to stop fighting. As I said, it's different now. I'm here. I live here. I'm not going anywhere. I already decided to fight. So you have my support, and I'm going to continue to be here, and I would absolutely love to come speak at the school, to talk to the kids whenever you're ready, please. And listen, it's just a testament to you. These kids were more articulate than I am. It was really something, and it was a sense of pride for me because that's what I talk about. I talk about our kids every day and how they are achieving under circumstances where others, including myself as an adult, would not. And it just goes to their resilience, and it just goes to their teachers, what they are learning. So thank you.
Member Squilla.
I'm just going to say thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for speaking up and knowing that, yes, you need to hold everybody accountable. Everybody. I've been here for a long time. I've been to a lot of these meetings, and you heard the same things over and over again. We hear good intentions. You know, they say the path to hell is paved with good intentions, right?
That's right.
We don't want to go to hell. Intentions aren't going to fix this, right? We need action. We need action, and we need everybody to work together. So I think we're committed to that. Thank you, Councilmember Lozada, for your leadership. Absolutely. Councilmember Jones. It's really important to know that, you can't do this by yourself, and we can't do it by ourselves. We need everybody to be on the same page, and we can't blame anybody. but we need to hold everybody accountable. So thank you.
Thank you, Member. Member Johnson, are you all right?
Well, first and foremost, I want to thank our chairman, Councilman Curtis Jones, and I want to thank Ketty Lozada, Councilmember Ketty Lozada, for making this the #1 priority as she arrived in City Council. And I just want to say, as we wrap up, and I have an 8-year-old and a 6-year-old at home, and they're very, very observant, very, very observant about the world that's going on around us, about the neighborhood that's going on around us, about what's going on in the city. And so I just want to refocus this conversation back on our young people and just thank them for just stepping up and having the courage to speak their truth. So let's just give them another round of applause, because I mean, that's it's truly what it's all about. And I know oftentimes we hear that slogan that becomes cliche, that our children are our future, but the reality is these children who spoke today, they will be our future leaders. They will be future council people, future state senators, future mayors, future doctors, future lawyers that's coming from this community. So I just want to thank our young people for stepping up to the plate, and most importantly to our educators, because you're on the front line day out, day in and day out, and you deserve all the support that you can receive as it relates to protecting our most precious commodity here in the city of Philadelphia, and that's our children. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Member Johnson. Mr. Glass, you have an announcement about testimony?
Yes, in order to sign up for public comment, there are 2 email addresses on the board outside in the lobby. You can send an email to both of those email addresses requesting to be heard at our next hearing, which will be June 7th at 5:30 p.m. back here at Conwell Middle School. So please make sure that you take down those email addresses, send an email to both of those emails to make sure that you are signed up for public comment if you wish to sign up for that meeting. Thank you.
So this concludes our public hearing of the Committee on Public Safety. We will stand at recess until June 7th, 6 p.m., location to be determined. So this will be a continuation. Oh, it'll be here? It'll be right here. Okay. All right. Well done. Thank you. My man.